start our technical session, and it will be, since the majority of the sessions will be managed by Mr. Yogen Parekh, and he is the speaker here. Let me take advantage of introducing him. Yogen, it will be presented by Mr. Yogen Parekh and Dr. Swachh Mumbai. You will find the details of in the souvenir. Yogen has been a very renowned environment consultant and working both in water and solid waste. And Sam has been an authority on this subject and is pioneering activities from IIT through his department. So I invite Yogen and Sam to have their Jugalbandi.
Thank you, Mishraji. Good afternoon and welcome back, all of you. We start with our technical sessions. We have some very, very interesting and very educative and informative presentations. In our Indian Environmental Association, whenever we have our annual program, our technical sessions always start with Professor Shyam Asolekar. In the earlier times, I used to tease him that he is the Tendulkar of environment because Sachin Tendulkar and he both have the same height. The other qualification, of course, is that Sachin Tendulkar was master of cricket and he is master of environment. What can I say about him? Anything that I say will not be enough. You all know about him. You all have heard of him. He is on, I would say, any and every technical committee of Government of India, Government of Maharashtra, Bombay municipality or anything. Apart from that, of course, he is a professor at IIT, at the CESE. Only black spot probably in his illustrious career is that he has got a friend like me. But he has been tolerating me, so I have nothing to complain. But otherwise, a brilliant academic record, number of patents, number of lectures, papers, whatever you can think of. So many World Bank projects, not only in India but overseas. I had the good fortune, or I have the good fortune of working with him on some of his projects outside the country also in Bangladesh and so on and so forth. Without much ado, I would request Professor Asolekar to start with his presentation. Sir.
Thank you so much for considering Yogen Bhai and myself to be worthy of standing in front of you and presenting our views. This is truly a professional honor, and I hope, like last year, this year also Rotary Club has kind of made it an annual affair, and I wish that it continues year after year. It's a very good tradition, very healthy tradition, and it is important that we keep doing it every year. The problem is created in last 75 years of free India, so we should not be ashamed of working for another 75 years. Some of us will not be here that time, but the new generation has to become more equipped, ready, aware to take up the task further. There are many layers of this discussion. Some of them are more technical than anything else, and because I just happen to be a chemical engineer, my facility with the subject is very limited. So, but because environmental engineering happens to be a more holistic discipline and it talks about integrated approach to life and society and other living beings on the earth and ecosystem in general, is an integral part of the game, both creating problem and solving problem. I think little bit effort has to be made to bring in society into solving the problems, each problem. When it comes to solid waste management, society has to be number one, because it starts in our kitchen, in our toilet, in our offices, and in our markets, in our hospitals and hotels. So we are creating problems everywhere where the actor is always human beings. So if a technology has to be put on table, also our two hands and two legs also have to be put into the solution. Only then you can solve this problem. With this little bit of background, I would like to kind of remind to all of us that somebody was telling me in the coffee break, that he feels ashamed that the Prime Minister, Honorable Prime Minister of the country has to stand up and tell Indians that enough is enough, now you please clean up yourself, and nobody is going to clean up after you. It is only you who have created the problems, so you better act properly now. So I think it doesn't look good for us as good human beings. All of us are extremely cultured and good people. So I think this is a high time that we act on the problem. And it is with this particular this particular motivation we are getting into organizing these kinds of seminars. And it was very nicely told in the beginning by Shri D.P. Mishra that what do we really want to achieve in this particular conference. And I think basically we have to understand that we need to basically abide by the solid waste management rules of 2016. April 2016 they were finally approved, and we better start implementing those rules. There has been a long effort of 16-17 years, starting from Burman Committee in 1998 and 2000, when the first set of rules were issued by Ministry of Environment and Forests. And now the new avatar of those rules is now the April 2016 regulations. I think we have really modified them enough number of times, and modification of rules is not going to produce any results. It is exactly like my doctor working on my obesity problem and writing new prescriptions and new orders for me, how many kilometers should I walk. I have to walk, only then all those prescriptions are meaningful. So laws are not going to really help. We have to act ourselves. I think this is a very simple thing. I can always talk about myself more easily. Therefore, I am making myself a target and say it is exactly a problem like my obesity, only I have to solve it, I have to act on it. And with this very simple frame of mind, I do not want to bring any big philosophy. I do not want to peddle far too much technology to you, but only tell you that how we all are integral part of the problem. The moment we recognize that in our heart, we already know the flip side of the coin is that we are the people who are going to solve the problem. So therefore, every small action that we take will count to making this planet a better place to live. And I don't have to tell you the principle of sustainability, that we have to leave something for the next generation. It is really surprising, and 25 years I have been teaching this topic to my students at IIT, and I have not yet figured out, I must admit. The intelligence and the spirit that I have has failed me to really recognize how when I am eating at home, I am always having one pot inside the, one eye inside the pot that my wife or my mother cooks for me. And I would like to make sure that my nephew, niece and my son has enough food to left. Whenever they come from their college, they will have enough food left in the pot to eat. So although I love it, khichdi I really love it, probably I can eat up entire pot, but I am always conscious in my heart that it has to be left for my children. How come I am not doing that when it comes to public life? Really, this is how I am so good human being as an individual, as a father, as a son in my family. How come suddenly I become a demon the moment I step out of my house? Really, it really fails me. My intellect is short to understand that, my friends. So it is best that we all are having the same philosophy and frame of mind. I feel very comfortable, very cozy to be in front of you and talking to you about this topic. If anybody talks to me about how come your country is so dirty, I feel extremely alone, lonely and extremely vulnerable. But I feel very nice to be in front of you because you all share the same kind of philosophy. The three things like the socio-culture, the environmental and economy, people are talking about triple bottom. People also have now increased the issues which have to be put at the bottom of the pyramid, and they are adding 4 or 5 things now. So there people are talking about 5 bottom pyramid also, not only 3 bottom pyramid. But whatever we say, finally human beings, the ecology and whatever that can be supported by economics, these 3 things are extremely important to balance. And you know that the precautionary principle has already been approved in our environmental jurisprudence, in our environmental governance framework. And it very clearly says that in the event there are more than one, that is at least 2 or more, there are 2 or more plausible arguments which look equally correct and equally doable, you should lean towards the argument which is environmentally and ecologically better, and no economics discussion should be brought in. And time and again the green tribunals, time and again the Honorable Supreme Court of India, and hajar cases that are happening in different high courts in the country, every time the judges have been saying, we do not want to hear economics. Somebody will stand up and say, it is not possible. They say, we do not want to hear about economics. If you have created the problem, you better clean it. Polluter pays is the principle that has been enshrined into our environmental jurisprudence and also at the Hague in international court, you have the same principle peddled very, very aggressively, that polluter pays and precautionary principle. These two are almost not only Indian, but they are international principles that are practiced today. There can be a separate discussion and topic on the law, environment and society. It is a very involved topic and lot of philosophical discussion are possible. The limited objective that today we have is to talk about how our regulatory framework is expecting us to contribute from our side as a private citizen, and what are the responsibilities of the communities and the municipality, the local self-government, so to speak. So, we have a very limited perimeter today for our discussion, and it is going to be a more techno-economic discussion for sure. It cannot be only technical, it cannot be only economical. Do nothing sounds very profitable, but only for today, only up to yesterday. But from today onwards, tomorrow, day after tomorrow, it is not profitable. Everybody knows it. We already are over the carrying capacity. So, therefore, we have to bring in more benevolent solution. This is Dr. Ahluwalia, you know that. He used to be the vice chairman of the erstwhile planning commission. Today we call it as Niti Ayog. So, he was deputy of Manmohan Singh when Manmohan Singh was in Reserve Bank of India. Then Ahluwalia broke into more socio-legal, more technical kind of discussion with economics, economic society, economic defense, economic transportation. That kind of expertise he got, and finally ended up as the number 2 person in the number 1 person was Manmohan Singh, the Honorable Prime Minister of India, but always you know that the planning commission is operated by practically the vice chairman, which was Dr. Ahluwalia for 10 years. 5 years he was number 3, then he became number 2. This is Dr. Kasturirangan, K. Kasturirangan, ISRO man, satellite man, the satellite communication man, and he was the environment and resource consumption subject expert from the Planning Commission of India, and these are the people who basically published a report called as the Task Force on Waste to Energy. And the story could be longer, but the short end of the story I will share with you, that Manmohan Singh went somewhere, maybe Hong Kong or Singapore or somewhere, and they told that 13% of their waste, their energy is derived from solid waste. He said, how much is derived in your country? And he was dumbfounded, he had no answer. He said, sorry, I do not know, but let me inquire and let you know. So, he came back and he asked in PMO that how much energy is coming from the solid waste in our country. He said nearly zero, very little which we do not know, maybe some examples are there which we do not know, but nearly zero you can say for. Then they look into it, and then there was a task force creation under the Honorable Planning Commission of India, and Kasturirangan was the chairman of that committee, and that task force basically gave a report which is the report on waste to energy, and what are the techno-social limits of how to do this. This particular report, this was the first report and first executive action taken by Honorable Prime Minister of India, Mr. Narendra Modi. That was his first executive action after he assumed office. Third or fourth day, the report was placed in front of him, and since the Kasturirangan comes from Ahmedabad, obviously he knew him personally. He said, the kind of people who are behind this, I do not need to. In 30 seconds he decided that he ordered MOUD that set up the rules, and today's the manual on solid waste management developed by CPHU is basically 100% operationalization of this report. Each and every, literally each and every principle of this report is actually the foundation of today's CPHU manual. All the new avatar of JNNU RM, the smart city initiative, And any municipal council or corporation, if they need to take money, they need to justify the project on the basis of the manual produced by CPHU, of which the mother document is the document which I am talking about. Many things were talked about in this particular document, but some of the most important things were that what are the kinds of operational difficulties in waste to energy, and what are different models that India can adopt, and what is the technology and size of community relationship, and what are the economics of it, how many of those are required. For example, you sit in a chair and you imagine, so India will need how many landfills? Okay, that answer is given in the report. Okay, how much energy can be derived by India in urban India? Okay, answer is there. How much can be derived from only the wet garbage? That answer is there. What investment will be required for that? Answer is there. What kind of technologies are possible? Answer is there. Are there any case studies on that in India? Answer is there. What is the economics of those case studies? Answer is there. So you think about many important questions. Obviously, questions can be far too many, so every question cannot be answered, but most of the operational questions, most of the important questions are available. If you are not access to this, it is available freely on the net. But suppose you really want to read it, just simply send an email to me, asolekar@gmail.com, and I will send you a ready copy of this report to you. Everybody who cares about solid waste must read it. It is extremely well written, not because some of us are involved in writing it, but I am truly saying this is one of the most well written report and contains lot of technical, economic information associated with it, and lot of legal information associated with the problem also has been written. So it's a good read, and lot of useful policy, strategy, and the recommendations for regulatory framework have been given in that. I must tell you that the new amendment or the new revision of the law, which now comes as Solid Waste Management Rules of 2016, are 100% based on this particular report, Kasturirangan report. So today, whatever that is operational, that is the existing law and the existing manual that is put out by the CPHU, both the things are actually based on this particular document. Therefore, there is a historic importance of this document that I thought that it is essential that everybody knows little bit about this particular history of it. What are the types of technologies people are talking about? This is called name dropping. I am simply reading a laundry list. It is a menu card, but do not believe that an entire menu card can be eaten by a customer. So, we are not going to really put everything that we read on the board, but these are the technological possibilities today. By class of the technologies, we can talk in a broad sense biochemical waste to energy technologies. Now, it can come in the form of biomethanation, it can come in the name of Nisargarun, or it can come in so many other names. So, those are all either brand names or some variants of this particular basic concept of using biochemical transformation and to get some kind of energy from it. The second is thermochemical. For example, Professor G.D. Yadav was telling that they are using algae, and then algae is essentially converted into some kind of food, fodder, food supplement or protein supplement, and in response to generation of algae, the water becomes cleaner. So, it is always a action response kind of chain of events. The thermochemical waste of energy basically is the thermal route where you are deriving energy from the waste. But this is a misnomer. When we burn something and we see there is heat or flame or smoke, we think there is some energy coming out of it. But also generating biogas is a fantastic waste to energy alternative, isn't it? So, we should not belittle somebody's biogas plant and only say very great things about the incineration plant. So, both are waste to energy in one form or other, and optimizing the solution is the name of the game here. Then obviously, the waste to energy technologies have their own limitations, and the energetics and economics of the waste to energy is a very important thing. Everybody would like to believe that anything and everything is possible technologically, but because I believe in more social form of philosophy, I think it is only a technicist approach, thinking that technology will solve all problems, and that belittling human being and only giving too much importance to technology. It is not fair. Anything and everything cannot be converted into energy. it is nothing can be, anything cannot be recycled, and every recycling activity has thermodynamic analog to it, that you are spending energy, you are spending some kind of efforts for it, and only then it is possible. And to be able to do that, you have to transport everything at one scale, at one space, a place, a centralized approach. Only then you will be able to get some kind of benefit from it. So we are forgetting all the costs. We are saying that I'll recycle every plastic or every wood or every paper. We have forgotten that whole thing is sitting in a truck, and that truck is guzzling diesel for you. So we should not forget that everything that we do will have a technology and energy footprint or flip side, and we should not really poison our minds in thinking that now technology is going to do everything. I will eat medicine and become slim and look handsome. I do not have to walk in the morning. That is not acceptable. We need to do our karma, we need to take our responsibility, only then technology can give a supplementary hand. But this is my editorial, you are most welcome to forget it. But this is what I feel, that our approach has to combine human being, human effort, good management practices, what is right and wrong. More importantly, what is fair and what is not fair has to be combined together, and then you equate it with possibilities of technology, and then you see what kind of wonders can be produced. And then obviously you have to talk about what I should do in my backyard and what I should do in few places in the state. So there are certain solutions which are regional, and there are certain solutions at my kitchen, at my toilet scale. So we need to sort of combine the scales of the solutions also, only then the problem can be completely solved. Yogen bhai, please raise your hand, and then I will not allow you to ask a question if you raise hand. I will realize that you are telling me 5 minutes are there.
I need to raise 2 hands.
So there are 10 minutes?
Yes.
Wonderful, okay. So this topic is too big, and half an hour is never enough to discuss these things. That is why Richa took efforts, my PhD scholar, she took efforts to write this article, and all the mistakes are because of Yogen bhai, because he was interfering with the work, and if you like it, you know who to give credit. So that is also made very clear already. So the position paper is written with very clear thought that you can probably sleep over it. Whenever you have chance, you can read it quietly. If you need some of the support documents or auxiliary questions are there, we can answer those questions on the basis of a proper kind of literature. This is a matter to be taken seriously, to be learnt, to be implemented, to be experimented. There is no standard answer. If somebody comes and gives you, I have a gadget, I have a machine, you put waste, everything beautiful will come out, it will not smell. I think that person is a poet, or he is thinking that you will very easily believe anything, you are very gullible. Such a thing does not exist about municipal solid waste. It is a very dirty, messy thing, and because we did not pay enough attention, we have made it even more dirty and more messy. So we need to be very humble about it, and we have to start one step at a time and take many steps. This is a lot of mumbo jumbo actually, that you will see a huge amount of information is embedded in this. Those graphs are there, I mean those figures are there already in the document that we have given to you. And they are also going to give a CD in which this information will be available in color. Just to save money and time, we have made it just black and white, few copies. If the copies are not enough, forgive us, you will get CD anyway. So that is not an issue. But something has to be there in hand, therefore we have made efforts to bring it to you. There are more or less biodegradable and combustible, two major waste categories. The construction and demolition related waste, we call debris, we call whatever, malba, all those things, those are nowadays covered under a separate regulation. But never be under impression that it is not a part of the municipal quote unquote solid waste discussion. It is a part of the solid waste discussion, but now the new avatar of solid waste management rules are essentially handling the malba, the construction debris in a different manner, that is all, with a different instrument as they call, but it is a part of a larger picture, and which it was always historically a part of larger picture. And there are something like inerts. Where are those inerts coming from? Whenever in the morning you see people are sweeping the roads with machines or with hands, lot of inerts are coming. Lot of inerts also are coming from the storm water drainages, which are collected and put onto the side, and then they are lifted and disposed. By mistake, rain comes just before that, it again goes back into the drain. And both things can happen because rain does not come on time, sometimes it comes sooner, and sometimes the management is not perfect. But these are all human factors and that can be improved. So the idea is that there are total 4 major categories of waste, that is biodegradable, the combustible, the inerts and the C&D. And among inerts there could be so many things which probably you will be able to put as C&D waste. There are many experimental places where they have taken the city sweeping dust and put into brick making, and they have treated it just like a C&D waste, and there are some people who have directly sent it to landfill. Now there are various experiments that are going on this particular matter. Among biodegradable, obviously there are composting and biomethanation. There are 2 basic major categories, and then there are many different avatars of technologies below it. If somebody is more interested in knowing more technology related discussion, in fact plenty of it is available. Far more is available technology side than management side. The management side will be very rudimentary, put into 3 bins and then nothing else is discussed, and municipal corporation will feel happy to distribute bins, and that is where the program will end. Very few officers or very few engineers or very few elected representatives would understand the complete picture, and always such excellent people are there everywhere and they are always few in number, unfortunately. So you always have a very simplistic approach taken for biodegradable waste, that we try to create a centralized system where the biodegradable waste can be taken, and most of the time ceremoniously it is dumped on top of each other. And you go to Pirana landfill or you go to the landfills in Mumbai, there are 6-7 of them. If you go there, you would put 32-meter height, 18-meter height, those kind of heights, and if you go there, the facility managers will tell you, wo 18 meter ka hai, wo 32 meter ka hai, and then quickly I realized that he is talking about the height of the mound. So they are literally short mountains, something like 10-story building you have of the waste, and it is impossible to send any equipment on top of it. And when there is an excellent experiment done by Excel in Pirana in Ahmedabad, and only those trained people can go on top of the mounds. If people like me will go, I will fall much before I reach even half height. It is very impossible to deal with such heights, because it is very fluffy and it vibrates and no equipment can go on top of it. It is very difficult to manage these kinds of places. You have the combustible waste where lot of thermal processing is possible, and as you know, I do not know, everybody thinks, and especially municipality loves to think, that why segregate, just put everything in a pyrolysis kind of fashion, some mass burning, and lot of energy will come out of it. So we may be smart, but thermodynamics is smarter than us, and it does not happen that way. The best steam engine that human beings produced, in spite of steam engines 150 years of history, efficiency has not gone beyond 18%, please understand that. So the best turbines that you talk about do not have efficiency more than 30-40%. So really the super thermal power station takes steam, very superheated steam, and then 5 avatars of that steam are further taken and cold, lukewarm, coffee warm. Finally that water is taken from that place and returned back into the system. So every heat is recovered, and then your efficiencies are still trailing less than 40%. So what can I tell you? The thermal efficiencies are always very poor. It is a very elusive topic, and people have not mastered it yet. So we should not poison our mind by saying that incineration is the best solution. So it may look like a last stop, it is not the best solution. It has a good side that it compacts the waste, it makes it look vanish, but nothing vanishes. It vanishes and comes in form of gas. Those are another demons jumping on us, literally on our chest when we breathe that air. And if you do not do it properly, then dioxin, furan like chemicals will come out of it. So do not believe that this is a fantastic solution, let us burn everything all, let us put 1,800 crore rupees, and then those 3,000 tons per day will be gone from Mumbai. I think we are really not really looking at the problem in a holistic manner. So how big is the problem? Well, the broad classification of the waste could be something like half of the waste could be organic waste. But you can recognize that only when you are segregated waste. If you don't segregate waste, you have lost the game already. So the half of the waste could be organic waste. Out of that, 75% of that 50% could be only water. So when you talk about solid waste, don't think solid waste is just solid. It is nearly fluid also. And it is very difficult to handle that and howl that, because you are paying by diesel for howling the dirty water in it. So how to manage that, the best solution would be decentralized solution. That if you try to do a centralized approach, then you are going to really have a very costly alternative. Inerts and inorganics are maybe 1/3 of the waste, but then that can be converted into some value added product. Now somebody told me, I will definitely not use, if you take the old Ganpati idols or Durga idols and you convert them into powder and then convert them into tiles, I will not put those tiles in my toilet. This is Shraddha, I will not be able to argue about that. So as a society we have to really get evolved to understand what I will permit and what I will not. I am not that knowledgeable person that I can tell you one solution that should fit all. That will be only cheating with ourselves. So this is a lot more complicated discussion, that what do you consider as a reusable material, that also you need to think more intelligently. And therefore the whole discussion is not only technology, but it is a framework, that what do you consider is acceptable, what do you consider is fair, and in that context what do you think is acceptable. I think we need to sort of put in that context. And then obviously the other recyclables, paper, plastic, the Yadav sir was telling in the morning, Professor Yadav was my teacher, undergraduate teacher, he was my demonstrator. So the Yadav sir's argument that things are recyclable are very important. We should take lesson from it. Technological solutions do exist. How to operationalize them, how to carry things together so that we can recycle them, how can we do it at one scale where it is economic, are larger questions that we need to understand. As a society, we have not handled those. So just I will end by saying, remember 500 tons of waste is generated every year, every day, from a community having a 10 lakh population. 1 billion people will generate approximately 500 kilo of waste. And this I am counting, that I am hoping that you will live in a house for 40 years, and after 40 years you will demolish your house and you will hopefully go in a better house. So that demolition waste also I have considered when I say per day basis, on a life cycle of your life cycle, not only your house life cycle, but your life cycle, you are generating 500 grams of waste every day. And so we are responsible. The day I used, one day in my life, I have generated half a kilo of waste, pakka. Now the whole question is, do I have a system to handle it? So it is a very big problem. When we say I have a very small family, I have a very small family of 5 people, but also in my family there is a dog and there is a cat. They also represent waste, isn't it? And also there are servants who are coming and giving service to us, because some of us in my family are not competent to help themselves. So even that also adds to the waste. So if we really see family, don't think only about your family, but an extended family, a greater surrounding, a more connected surrounding about you, and you are not only yourself, but you are also, son is going to toilet in his school, and I am using toilets in IIT building, so that also is a part of my waste, isn't it? So when you talk about waste, it is much bigger, and believe me that 500 gram doesn't count that. So I will end by saying that I am lying to you when I tell you that I am only generating 500 grams of waste. Forgive me that I am using toilet in IIT, forgive my son is creating litter here and there, and forgive me that he is going to school and creating waste. All those things are separate, and I hope you will forgive my dog and cat. They also create waste, but they give a lot of joy to me. So we have to count that far more things are generating waste which are not counted in our kind of discussion. But at least 500 grams of waste we are creating, a household waste we are creating, and we are responsible for that. That we need to remember. And by the way, just a simple note, a sociological comment, similar to society, let us say a community in village will not create more than 200 grams of waste per day. City people are more polluting. Don't think slum is a problem for you. You are a problem for them. Don't think the leopard coming into IIT is a problem. IIT took away land of leopards. So we are encroachers, city people are encroachers. We always portray slum people are encroachers, but city people are encroachers. Much of the subsidy comes to city people. So do not forget all these things. So there is also an element of philosophy, element of what is right and wrong, and element of nyaya is very much, justice is embedded in the question of environment. Please keep those angles also in the mind before you come to conclusion. Thank you so much.